Hello, dear viewers. This is Jason, your favorite storyteller, and I'm back to bring you today's story that will make you go sorry what. I hope you're somewhere cozy because we're diving right in. Here I am, now 45 years old. My wife Glenda is a year younger. We've been married for 25 years, so earlier this year we celebrated our silver anniversary. We took a week-long cruise to the Western Caribbean and immensely enjoyed our rejuvenation. Our son, Alan, just turned 25. After receiving his degree in electrical engineering, he met and married his adorable wife, Brenda, who is a joy to be around. Our daughter, Elise, is a year younger than Alan. Her degree is in music education. She is the assistant choral director at our local high school and loves her job. She recently married Edward, and they act like two lovebirds every time we see them. Neither has given us a grandchild yet. We're actually glad to have a breather to enjoy our empty nest, so we're not pushing either of them about grandchildren. Glenda and I have shared an idyllic marriage. We've always had each other's backs and taken care of each other's needs. Our love life may have slacked off from when we first married, but we've both been perfectly content with the frequency of our lovemaking. She often played the song Bubbly by Colby Caled and said it was exactly how she felt about me. That girl sure knew how to make me feel loved. We often go out with or visit Bob and Teresa. I've known Bob since junior high school and we've been best friends ever since. Glenda and I are godparents to their 3 grown and married children, and our kids have always called them Uncle Bob and Aunt Teresa, even though they are not blood relatives. Our kids and theirs act more like brothers and sisters since we've spent so much time together. We've always had a great time with them and have taken more than a few vacations together over the years. Of course, Glenda is the most attractive woman in the world to me, but in all honesty, Teresa comes in a close second. The 4 of us, however, have always respected boundaries. Sure, we've danced with each other's wives, but there has never been any hanky-panky. Next to Glenda, I'd probably sacrifice my life to protect Teresa and Bob if need be, and I'm certain they feel the same. That's how close we are as 2 couples who love each other. Did I say we had an idyllic life? Just when all the planets seem to be in alignment, something comes along to throw a monkey wrench into the works. Due to some unusual feelings she had about her body, she went to see the doctor about it. She was immediately referred to an oncologist. I accompanied her to her urgent appointment where she was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic pancreatic cancer. We were told that stage 4 pancreatic cancer cannot be cured or treated. We were told that a person with terminal cancer is actively dying and will usually not live for more than a few months. However, there are treatments that can help a person at this stage of cancer feel better, palliative care. Up until she felt something was off, she never even felt sick. The doctor said that it can be easy to miss the signs. A person may not know that they have cancer because they do not feel sick. Even if they do have symptoms, they might not bother them much. The oncologist said that, in his opinion, she had about 6 months left to live. He indicated that the first 4 of those months could still afford her a very good quality of life. The remaining couple of months might be best relegated to palliative care, managing her pain until she passed. To say this was a shock to us would be the understatement of the year. We soon passed on this information to everyone important to us. Alan and Elise and their spouses spent a few days at home with us expressing their love and support. They offered to stay indefinitely, but Glenda would not hear of it. She stokely didn't want their lives disrupted any more than necessary. Bob and Teresa were devastated right along with us. We were all very close and their love and support meant the world to us. Glenda knew that they would be there for me for encouragement after she passed, and she pleaded with them to make sure I didn't fall through the cracks and grieve for her for too long. Right in front of our best friends, Glenda urged me to start dating again and remarry after a reasonable period. I wasn't prepared to have that conversation, so I said nothing in response. I felt that she needed to vent her feelings and express herself in order to deal with the myriad of emotions I know she must be grappling with. I love my wife beyond measure, and I was determined to be the best husband I could be to her right up to the bitter end, no matter how devastating losing her would be to me. I would step up to the plate and be there for her. Glenda, in her infinite wisdom, didn't want to waste any time on pity parties. I told her that she could quit working, but she insisted that working helped keep her grounded, and that she needed it for consistency. But something happened to her libido that I must admit turned out to be a nice bonus for me. She insisted that we amp up our sex life. We didn't simply start having sex more frequently, she became super adventurous, wanting to try anything and everything at least once. Many of the things we tried had to have been very uncomfortable for her, but she didn't care. It's as if she was working off some kind of bucket list. It had been 2 months since she was diagnosed and she was wearing me out sexually. She was a dynamo and I loved every minute of it. If we weren't home having uninhibited sex, then we were out with Bob and Teresa, laughing and wringing every bit of joy out of life that she could. Hank, have you been enjoying our sex life lately? Yeah, babe. It's as if you're trying to duck my deck off. I'm not complaining, mind you. Every moment with you is special and unforgettable. That's what I'm trying to do, honey. I won't be around much longer, and I want us to make enough special intimate memories of us together to last you a lifetime. I don't want to waste a single moment just doing nothing. I figured that's what you were trying to do. I'm all in, Glenda, whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it. I'm so glad to hear you say that, Hank. I've been meaning to talk to you about something, and I guess now is just as good of a time as any. Sure, babe. What's on your mind? I don't want to dilly-dally, so I'm just going to come right out and say it. Hank, you know that I love you with all of my heart. There's not a single cell of my heart that doesn't totally belong to you. You're the perfect husband that any woman could ever hope to have, and I thank you for giving me a lifetime of happy memories to take with me when I pass on. We've been having a lot more sex lately, and I've insisted on that primarily for your benefit. I want my husband to be totally satisfied as I slip from this world into the next. Glenda, I've loved every minute of our lovemaking. I couldn't have asked for a better wife, and I'd love nothing more than for us to continue making memories with one another. Well, with all the sex we've been having lately, it has renewed my libido big time. I'm not making myself have sex with you, Hank. I crave it like an addiction, as if I'm grabbing life by the balls and squeezing out every seed it can produce. Accompanying my revived libido are some thoughts about unfilled sexual desires and experiences. I find myself constantly thinking about sex and craving new experiences before I leave this world. Before we married, you told me that you had 3 other sexual partners before you met me, and I have no problem with that. As you know, I was a virgin when we married, and I am so happy to have given that gift to you. Hank, I've been thinking. I'd like to have the experience of being with another man before it's too late. I'm not talking about an affair. I'm thinking about one weekend, and then those feelings will be forever behind me. Would you support me in this, please, Hank? I can't explain why. I just need this. I couldn't believe my ears. I wasn't prepared to hear this. I know she's dying and she wants to experience life to the fullest, but does she have to eviscerate me to do it? Honey, I hope this is just a hormonal phase that you're going through with your rejuvenated libido. Hopefully, it will pass soon. Or that you're pulling my leg and not seriously making this request of me. Please tell me you're not serious. I'm serious. I don't have the luxury of time to play games. That's why I wanted to engage you directly on this. It's important to me, Hank. It consumes nearly all of my thoughts. I can't get the idea out of my head. I need this. Please, Hank. Please tell me you understand and give me this selfless gift of a life experience, she pleaded. My head was spinning. This is no joke. She wants to duck another man and have me condone it. I'd cut off my right arm for her to give her nearly anything she wants, but I can't do that. Glenda, I have loved you since the day we met. You've always been the best wife a man could ever ask for. I'd sell everything I have and give it all to you. But I don't see how I can share you with another man. But before we go any further on this, who did you have in mind to be intimate with? Were you planning on going to a bar and picking up some random stranger? Of course not. Don't be silly. I would never take the chance of bringing an STD back to you. I've given this a lot of thought, and I have talked extensively with Teresa and Bob. They understand my circumstances. I could never be with some random stranger. It would have to be someone I know, love, and respect. Bob is the man I'd be with for just one single weekend. Then that need would be met, fulfilled, and forever be in the rearview mirror. So you've already talked to my best friends behind my back, and convinced Bob to duck you for a whole weekend. I don't imagine it took much arm twisting. Over 30 years of friendship flushed down the toilet. Don't be silly, Hank. They're my best friends too. We're both godparents to their children, not just you alone. There's no way you'll toss away the friendship you have with them. It's rock solid. You are not the type of man who gives up and throws everything away. You always find ways to work through anything. That's one of the best things I love about you. Teresa has volunteered to spend the weekend with you in my place. You'll have so much fun with her you'll never even know I'm gone, she insisted. So you plan to cheat on me with my best friend, he's going to cheat on his wife, and his wife is planning to cheat on her husband to be with me, and you think I'll be happy to cheat on you with her as my consolation prize? You have got to be kidding me, I fumed. Nobody's cheating here, honey. I'm suggesting a swap. There's no cheating going on if you know about it in advance and participate. That's why I'm having this talk with you now. Nothing's happened yet, I swear. I need this, Hank. If you love me, you let me have this as my dying request. Stunned at her words, I gave her a look of disgust. So you're going to play that card, huh? If I love you. You're not sure that I do, so you say if. What's more, that's a low blow for you to characterize it as a dying request. You're not right in the head, sweetheart. This is crazy talk. I just can't go along with such an inane idea. I'm telling you straight up, if you do, it will be the end of us. Undaunted, she persisted. Hank, since the day we married, you've always exceeded all of my desires and expectations. You've taken me to exotic locations for our vacations, you've always provided the best luxurious cars for me to drive, and you've allowed me to purchase all the clothes and shoes I could ever want. Why is this so different? Did I ever send you on a vacation to be alone with another man? No. It was always you and me. Did you buy those clothes to wear for another man? No. You bought them to please me. It has always been just the two of us together, Glenda. Perhaps that is too much to ask of you now, but it would ruin our marriage for me. Baby, please think about it this way. After I'm dead and gone, you will likely be intimate with several other women before deciding to remarry. I won't ever have that privilege. Can't you see that what I'm asking is only fair? I'm sorry that you've had to make such a huge sacrifice being with me and no one else all this time. Once you're free of me, you can try out as many men as you wish. Hell, you wouldn't even have to worry about pregnancy or STDs. You'll have it made, girl, I said sarcastically. Her ire started rising. Look, I've always put my needs on the back burner and taken care of you and our children. I don't regret a single second of it, yet, now I feel as though you should be a bit more understanding and put your fragile male ego on the back burner just this one time, and let me have this, she logically explained. Let me ask you, Glenda. If you weren't dying, would your bucket list still have eventually presented itself and induced you to want to have sex with another man? Be honest. I don't know, maybe. Well, thank you for your candor. I'm sorry that I'm not enough for you. She winced but pressed on. Let me ask you a question, Hank. If I had never contracted cancer, and I asked you for permission to be intimate with another man, would you selfishly deny me the experience? Of course not. Once we were divorced, you could have all the experiences you want with whoever you want to be with, as often as you'd like, except you'd never again get to experience me. She ignored my threat and continued unabated. Haven't you always wanted me to have everything? You've always given me more than I have ever asked for. Would you start denying me now, as I impart my dying request? Glenda, I once believed that I was your everything. Thank you for showing me the error of my ways and straightening me out on that misunderstanding. She began crying and ran out of the room. Normally I'd exert every effort to comfort her, but this was different. I hope she changes her mind about wanting this. I heard her talking on the phone with someone, but couldn't make out what was being said. 10 minutes later, I heard a car pulling into our driveway. Bob and Teresa didn't just decide out of the blue to drop in for a visit. This is an ambush. As she was going to the front door to greet them and let them in, I quietly slipped out the back door and went for a zigzag walk through the neighborhood. I had left my phone on the kitchen table, so getting in touch with me would be difficult. I certainly had much to occupy my thoughts as I walked. When I returned about 90 minutes later, their car was gone, so I felt as though their attempt to blindside me had failed. Where have you been? I've been worried sick. Bob and Teresa stopped by for a visit, and we had no idea where you were, Glenda said worriedly. When you were crying and upset earlier, I felt we both could use some space, so I went for a walk around the neighborhood. I don't recall Bob and Teresa saying they were going to stop by for a visit today. What gives? She gave me a distasteful glance. They were running errands and just happened to be nearby, so they stopped in for a short visit. We both dropped in on each other dozens of times over the years, you know that. It's a shame you missed them. They were eager to talk with you about our earlier conversation. I assure you that their eagerness is totally one-sided. I have no desire to ever talk to either of them about the atomic bomb you dropped on me earlier. But they're our best friends, your best friends. Who better to talk to about what's on your mind? They were my best friends, but that ended today. From now on, they're your best friends. I will no longer have anything to do with either of them. You can't mean that, Hank. Why are you being so obstinate about this? All I did was have a conversation with you, nothing more. Are you willing to toss away a lifetime friendship without so much as a word passing between you? You're a better man than that. I know you are, and so does Bob. I assume you spoke with them about our earlier conversation while they were here. Of course, I did. What do you expect? They were very best friends. That's what friends do, hear each other out and help each other get through things. I figured as much. And just what advice did dear old Bob have to offer about our issues? They both know the kind of man you are, Hank. They agree that you are the kindest, most understanding husband, father, and friend that anyone could ever hope to have. He reminded me that it was you who helped him get hired at the same place you work. He said he knows no better man. I'm sure that's not all he said, Glenda. What other nuggets of wisdom did he impart to you about our little problem? He said that he can see both sides of our situation. And even though he's been your best friend for most of your life, you're not the one who's dying. He said special allowances should be made to accommodate requests made by those who will soon be leaving this world. His advice makes perfect sense. I agree with him. And what, dear wife, was his advice? I asked sardonically. She grimaced before saying, he said it was easier to get forgiveness than permission. You will get neither from me, I seethed before walking away. If Bob and Teresa weren't history to me before, they certainly are now. The friendship train has left the depot, never to return. I would make sure to limit all contact with Bob at work to a professional level only. We work in different areas, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Later that evening, Glenda gradually inflamed my lust and used it to have her way with me again. 3 times in one night was about all I was good for. She seemed to gloat over the infectious hold she had over me, as if she were winning a contest. In all honesty, I have no problem or objection to having sex with her, as long as she hasn't crossed that line, and I was sure he hadn't, yet. She thoroughly cleaned my clock every night that week until Friday morning before I left for work. Hank, honey. There's something I want to say before you leave for work. Tonight, at 9 p.m., I'm going to drive over to Bob and Teresa's home. He and I will leave from there. He told me that he's tried numerous times to talk to you to alleviate your concerns, but you refuse to speak with him about anything other than work issues. He says you also refuse to answer his personal calls and texts. Teresa said you no longer respond to her either. I'll be back here Sunday afternoon very anxious to make love with you. I'm telling you this now because I want to make sure you come straight home after work. I'm going to duck your clock off this evening to where you can hardly walk. I want to leave my loving husband satisfied and completely drained. Okay. My world was shattering before my eyes. Everything I knew about my life as it was before would change after tomorrow. She appears determined to go through with it. Glenda, you know I love you, but I don't love you enough to ever forgive you for cheating on me, and yes, I call it cheating because I don't approve of it, and don't want you to do it. If you duck Bob or any other man but me this weekend, I won't be here when you return. I will never speak to Bob or Teresa again and have nothing to do with our godchildren. The betrayal of all 3 of you is worse than you can possibly imagine. If you have sex with him, I will never touch you again, I sadly stated. She teared up upon hearing such strong resistance from me, but Bob and Teresa had convinced her that I would come around and forgive her afterward. It was unimaginable to her that I would not be there for her as she passes from this world to the next. When I'm through making love with you this evening, my dear husband, you will know with absolute certainty just who it is that I love and need in my life, you. But I also need this. I'm sorry you can't consider my feelings this once and grant me my dying wish. She moved to kiss me goodbye as was our custom in the mornings. I avoided her and made a quick exit. I heard her sobbing as I exited the house. My only hope was that she'd come to her senses before it was too late. I came home for lunch. I needed to know. She had a suitcase all packed and ready to go hidden under the bed. In it was underwear that must be new for she had never worn it for me. Perhaps it was her way of keeping Bob and me separate. It was clear that her decision was made. Now I must make mine. Before returning to work, I sent her a short text from my phone. I've been approached to work late this evening on a special project. Sorry. Not sure when I'll get home. I'm begging you to change your mind about going with him. I then immediately left my phone lying openly on the kitchen table. I wasn't going to be there this evening for her planned love fest. That much I know. I wanted to let her stew about it and hopefully change her mind. Bob finally sneaked up on me at work when my guard was down for a moment. Hank, you need to come down off that high horse you're on, buddy. Think of Glenda and not yourself for a change. This is her dying wish. There's no way I can deny her that, don't you see? What I see is a backstabbing sheephead that used to be my best friend telling me that he's going to duck my wife to make her happy. I can't stop you two from destroying my marriage, but you must realize that there will be consequences to your actions. If you touch Glenda, then you, Teresa, and my 3 godchildren will be dead to me for the rest of my life. It will end my marriage and destroy our relationship. I guess you'll become Glenda's duck buddy from now on because I won't touch her again after your slimy ass has been with her. Hank, this isn't like you. You're a better man than this to say such things. You don't mean a word of it. You forget I know you better than you know yourself. I don't give a duck what you think you know. I meant every word I said. Now get out of my office, or do you want to explain to the big boss why you're wasting my time? I was livid and almost shaking from my rage. There were no words that either of them could say to me that would make me change my mind. Apparently, Bob and Teresa value Glenda's friendship more than mine. I'm normally a very accommodating guy, but some lines are not meant to be crossed. I left work 5 minutes early so that I couldn't be shanghaied again by Bob. I drove straight to the gym. I have a membership there that I hardly use. I figured I'd take advantage of it today. I didn't want to be too sore tomorrow, but I did want to exhaust my anger on the machines. As I was numbingly going through the motions with their machines, I experienced a range of emotions: deep loss, rage, helplessness, and back to loss. I shed some tears in there but managed to avoid sobbing in front of the other patrons. I left the gym at 7:30 after showering. It was therapy of sorts but didn't solve my problems. I went to Harper's restaurant, which Glenda and I enjoyed very much on special occasions. I reviewed in my mind the many conversations and laughs we had there. It was a bittersweet experience. As I pondered my options, I wondered if I was truly stubborn enough to follow through with the threats made during my earlier conversations with Glenda. Were my principles the hill I was willing to die on? We had 25 wonderful years before all of this came to be. I never would have imagined that I'd be facing this crucible with her. I considered beating Bob to a pulp, but what effect could that have on Glenda? He knows exactly how I feel and what I'll do. Yet he still plans to go through with it. Even if I were to threaten his life to stay away from her, she'd already admitted that she might have come to this same Rubicon at some future point, even if she hadn't contracted cancer. When her husband was a no-show at home later that evening, Glenda became very concerned when she saw his cell phone lying on the kitchen table. She had no idea when he left it there, but surmised it may have been around the time he'd sent her the text about working late. "Hey Bob. It's Glenda. I know it's you, silly. I'd recognize your sweet voice anywhere. How are things going at home this evening with Hank?" "Very peaceful, I hope," Bob inquired. "That's what I'm calling about. Are you aware of any reason Hank would be working late tonight? He sent me a text at noon today, saying he would be working late on a special project. I can't imagine what in the heck Hank could be talking about. I left work a few minutes late today myself, tidying up loose ends, and the parking lot was a ghost town. Hank's car was already gone when I left. Although he and I don't work in the same department, I would be aware of any special projects or overtime work. Have you tried calling him?" "That's just a Bob. I did as soon as I got home to see what time he would get home, but his damn cell phone rang lying on the kitchen table, so I have no way of reaching him without his phone, if he's not at work as you say. Didn't you tell me you were going to give him a very special lovemaking session this evening, that would leave him weak in the knees?" "That's right. I made that crystal clear to him this morning, so the only conclusion I can draw is that he is avoiding me. What am I going to do, Bob?" "Glenda, I know Hank. He's just throwing a little pity party. He's playing a childish game hoping to thwart your plans. If he intentionally chooses to miss out on this evening's lovemaking with you, then he's a fool. He doesn't realize how good he has it with you. After you pass away, he's going to look back on this and regret missing every second he could have had in your loving arms. Hank's a good man, my best friend in the whole world, but sometimes even good men can make stupid mistakes. You know what you want. You know you deserve it, and he's trying to rain on your parade. Look, honey. If you want to cancel, I'll understand." "No, Bob. I'm not saying that. Heaven knows I've already endured too much grief from him over this to cancel at the last minute. You're right, Bob. If he misses out on tonight, then it's his loss. It will allow me to save more energy for being with you this weekend. You have no idea how much I'm looking forward to it. I can't thank you and Teresa enough." "That's the spirit, Glenda. Hopefully, Hank will come to his senses and spend some blissful time with you." "Thanks, Bob. I feel a lot better. I'll wait for him to come home, but I still plan on leaving here around 9. I'll be at your place shortly after." "Nothing would make me happier, Glenda. I promise to give you my very best this weekend, holding nothing back. I hope it's the experience you're looking for." "I'm sure it will be. See you soon, Bob. Bye." As I stood in the restaurant, I considered all my options. I concluded that if she goes with Bob, I will never touch her again. She would be intentionally abandoning her wedding vows. She's not being seduced or drugged. This is a conscious decision she's making with a lucid mind. On top of that, it's a triple betrayal. In addition to losing my wife, I'm also losing my two best friends at the same time. They're both complicit in Glenda's betrayal. I would never do to Bob what he's doing to me in my marriage, no matter how urgently Teresa might have appealed to me if the circumstances were reversed. The three of them will be dead to me. Divorce. I could have her officially served to make a point, but it would be an extremely costly point to make, because she would be dead before a divorce decree could ever be issued. There's no need to throw money away. Money. I would have never imagined her cheating on me before now. Since I can no longer trust her, I need to take measures to protect my finances. Who knows what she'll do next. I arrived home at 9:30 that night. She was gone. She had to be with Bob. I had never felt sadder or lonelier in my life. The pain of loss was excruciating, but my plans merely needed to be executed. I found a sealed envelope on the kitchen table that Glenda had left for me with my name on it. It was underneath Glenda's cell phone. Apparently, she didn't wish to be disturbed this weekend. I was fine with that. I decided not to touch the envelope and left it unopened. When I checked my phone for messages, I saw that she called and texted me earlier and was concerned at my lack of response. She swore she would make it up to me after she returns, reiterating that she needed this, swearing that she loved me and only me. Such words fell on deaf ears. I deleted them all. The first thing I did was move all of my clothes and belongings from the master bedroom to the spare bedroom. I made certain not to leave a single trace that I had ever been in that bedroom. Next, I located my wedding album and cut all of my images out of every picture, removing all traces that I was there. I then reassembled the album and left it on her bed, the bed that used to be our bed. I called my brother and asked him if I could spend a few nights with his family. He has a spare basement bedroom, and instantly invited me to stay as long as I needed. I took one of Glenda's Ambien tablets to help me sleep. Pharmaceuticals can sometimes work wonders. I was awakened at 9:15 a.m. by the doorbell. I threw on a robe and went to the front door. "What are you doing here, Teresa? I thought I made things clear to Bob yesterday." "Good morning, Hank. I could have used our key, you know," Teresa responded. "We've both had spare keys to each other's homes for years. May I come in?" She's right. I forgot about that. I was about to make a mental note to change the locks when it occurred to me that Glenda would simply supply them with another, so I abandoned that thought. "What you have to say can be said from right where you are. You still haven't answered my question. What are you doing here?" "Well, if someone would answer their phone, I wouldn't have to traipse over here to see you," she posited. "For the third and last time, Teresa, why are you here?" "I'm here for you, Hank, for two reasons. First and foremost, I'm here to check on you and see how you're doing. Glenda told me that you were unhappy with the arrangement, so I'm here to help you deal with it. After all, you're one of my two best friends in the whole world." "Help me deal with it, huh? And just how do you plan to help me do that, Teresa?" "Whatever it takes, Hank. I'm here for you in any capacity that you need me to be. If you just want a friend to talk to, that's me. If you need a housekeeper or cook, that's me too. If you need an intimate partner to assuage your pain and anguish, that's me again. The three of us agreed that you could have me just as they have each other this weekend. Evidently, the three of you have agreed to many things that I vehemently disagree with. Now, if you don't mind, I have a lot to do today. You have come at a very inconvenient time. Please leave now and don't return. If you use that key that I no longer wish for you to have, I'll call the police and report an unwanted intruder. Have a good life, Teresa," I exclaimed as I slammed the door in her face. I watched from a window as she walked out to her car. She was crying on the phone with someone, Bob I presumed. I couldn't imagine what would make her cry. Perhaps he or Glenda wanted an update on my emotional state. I tried to give Teresa as little as I could, yet effectively communicate my displeasure with the situation. She sat in the front seat for about 5 minutes watching the house, as if unsure that leaving me distraught was the right thing to do. Finally, she drove away. After having cereal for breakfast, I went to a big box store and purchased a pair of key-to-like exterior door lock sets, and installed one on the spare bedroom door and the other on the hall bathroom door. Since I had the only keys, I felt comfortable with my expectation of privacy. Next, I went online and removed my phone from our joint phone account, followed by opening a new phone account in my name alone, so Glenda would have no access to it. Then I transferred my phone to the new account and paid an additional fee to have my phone number changed. No one would be able to reach me any longer unless I provided them with my new number. For one final petty act, I removed my wedding ring and crushed it closed in my shop vise. There was no way it would go on a finger again without some serious work by a jeweler. I left my symbolic gesture atop her cell phone on the kitchen table. I packed a few clothes and toiletries in a gym bag, and took my brother and his family out for lunch on Sunday at a nice family restaurant. It was the least I could do since they are providing me respite from the drama for a couple of days. Glenda said she'd be back Sunday afternoon. I wanted to ensure my departure before her arrival. It was a fun time with my brother's family. When Glenda returned home Sunday afternoon from her weekend away with Bob, she had every expectation of finding a sullen husband that she would console with her body until the sting of her absence was forgotten. She was unhappy to find him gone. How could she reclaim what they had if he wasn't there? She thought that perhaps he was running an errand until she went to unpack in the master bedroom. She noticed their wedding album on the bed, and she began sobbing loudly after learning that he'd ruined it by cutting himself out of every picture. She suddenly realized that every stitch of his clothing was gone also. Had he moved out? She saw the sealed letters she had left for him to read unopened on the bed. When she dialed Hank's number to find out what was going on, she received recognizable tones and message, stating that the number she had dialed was no longer in service. Things were getting worse by the second. This wasn't the reaction Bob had told her to expect. He had reassured her that there was no way Hank could live without her. When she urgently checked the rest of the house, she noticed the new lock passage set on the spare bedroom door. She felt better that perhaps he had not left her after all, but maybe having a little temper tantrum by moving his things to another room. Unsure who to contact first, Glenda called Teresa to find out if Hank had said anything to her about what he had planned to do when she visited him Saturday morning. No, Glenda. When I called Bob that morning, I relayed every word Hank had said, which was very little. I have to tell you, it stung me deeply when Hank rejected me so harshly. What's going on? Glenda brought her up to speed on what she found upon her return. Bob and Teresa both listened to her via speakerphone. Bob piped up, but didn't you leave Hank the letter explaining that you were going to turn your 2-week notice in tomorrow, and spend what time you have remaining making him glad he was born a man? Yes, Bob, I wrote him that letter just as you suggested, but he never opened it or read it. He has no idea what it says. It's still here, sealed, she cried. I assure you that there's nothing to worry about, Glenda. It's obvious that he's moved his things to the spare bedroom for a day or two just to get back at you. It's merely a little pity party, nothing more. He'll be back in your arms soon enough. I guarantee it. I sure hope you're right. Thanks for the encouragement, anyway, Glenda gratefully offered. Glenda then tried calling Hank's brother and parents. His parents were completely clueless, and his brother said he'd not heard from him, which is what Hank had asked him to say. She figured that it was her turn to be patient, as Hank had to do in her absence over the weekend. But Hank's absence was keenly felt. She had never felt disconnected from him before in any way, and this was an insufferable feeling. She had shed many tears before finally crying herself to sleep, alone in her bed for the first time in a long while. At 6:30 a.m. Monday, I called work before the office opened, leaving a voicemail advising my boss that I'd be taking 2 personal days off of work, and that an urgent family circumstance that required my attention. I didn't want to interact with Bob yet either, nor did I want the 3 of them to have access to me during the day at my work number. I decided to move some money around just in case she got a wild hair to spend it frivolously. We had accumulated a decent nest egg after 25 years of marriage, and I wanted to protect it. Gone was the trust I once had in her. I moved 2/3 of all of our cash and investments into accounts that I was the sole owner of. Unless she went searching, she shouldn't notice the changes, as long as all the bills continued to get paid. Doing that took the better part of the day. I was glad to have the ongoing break from the drama, but I knew the sheep storm would hit when I returned home. I went for a relaxing walk in the park Tuesday morning, then had lunch at a nearby diner. The movie theaters typically don't open until noon on weekdays. I spent the afternoon being mindlessly entertained. Tuesday night brought back some of the tension I knew I'd face when she confronted me. I made a promise to myself not to bring dishonor by getting into a shouting match with her. I thanked my brother and family for providing me with a safe haven and a chance to gather my thoughts and resolve. Wednesday morning, I reported back to work where I belonged. I said nothing to my boss about the exact nature of my family situation, and he had the professionalism not to inquire about personal family matters. I appreciated that about him. Just as soon as Bob discovered my presence at work, he made a beeline to my office. Well, it's about damn time you showed up. Have you spoken with Glenda yet? She's worried sick about you, you asshole, Bob declared. He had closed my office door upon entry. I ignored him, walked to the door, and reopened it to eliminate his access to privacy with me. When he moved to close it again, I grabbed it and exited the office without acknowledging him or any of his repetitive personal questions. He followed me for a short distance, calling after me as I sauntered to the men's room on the other side of the facility. I remained non-responsive. I had made up my mind that I would have no further communication with Teresa or Bob. I'm certain that Glenda would keep them apprised of my every word, but they would receive no acknowledgement from me. I felt certain also that Bob would let Glenda know that I had been sighted. She soon called 4 times in succession. I parked each of her calls on hold, listening to music until she relented. As I left the office at the end of the day, Bob said nothing but followed me until I pulled into a restaurant. I didn't want my evening meal ruined by intense emotional conversation. He waited until I left and followed me again. I saw him on the phone as I neared my house. I knew who he was talking to. Glenda would be expecting me. As I pulled into the driveway, she ran out to meet me, enthusiastic arms reaching for a hug. I quickly grabbed my gym bag and held it in front of me to keep some distance between us as we entered the house. A tearful Glenda began, "Where in the world have you been, Hank? Do you have any idea how worried I've been? I've not had a moment's peace until you walked into the house just now. Don't you ever scare me like that again, you hear? I may have some idea of how worried you might have been. Were you as worried that I was out ducking another woman as I was about you ducking another man? I seriously doubt it. After all, that would be cheating, wouldn't it? I hope your friend Teresa set you straight that I didn't even allow her inside the house, not for a moment." Her unhappy expression confirmed her understanding of my crass remark. I was proud of myself for not raising my voice. Hank, I know you're upset, and that's why we need to talk this through and put it behind us. You have no idea, big boy, how anxious I am to get you between my legs tonight. I plan to milk you of every seed in your body. I've just come from having eaten Glenda. I'm sure your lover filled you in, so now is not a good time for me. As a matter of fact, I can't imagine that there will ever be a good time for such a thing. Your body has been ruined for me by that piece of sheep, ex-friend. There's no way I can touch you now that he's injected his disgusting slime in you. Just the thought of imagining you naked makes me nauseous. I'm tired. It's been a long day. I'm going to bed. Good night. Don't you dare walk away from me, Hank. I nearly lost my mind worried sick about you, and you come in here and just dismiss me out of hand. That's not going to fly, mister. I want you in my bed tonight, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Look, Glenda. I just walked in the door and I'm tired. Let me get a shower and change. I promise we'll talk later, after I've cleaned up, fair enough. Stunned that I was uncharacteristically expressing no interest in bedding her, she agreed to my request. I carried my bag to my bedroom and locked the door behind me. After stripping down to my boxers, I carried fresh clothes with me into the hall bath where I took a long hot shower. This was going to be a combative night. There's no other way around it. To her credit, she left me alone. I'm certain she had already seen the lock on the hall bath door, so she didn't even try to open it while I was showering. I dressed and took my dirty boxers, towel, and washcloth back to my room and locked it. I made a mental note to start doing all of my own clothes washing from now on. She was waiting for me in the den, seated on the couch dressed in a see-through negligee and nothing else, as if she was on an unfulfilled quest. I sat on the matching single chair adjacent to the couch. My choice of seating obviously piqued her. Come over here, big boy, and sit beside me. I have a lot to tell you and a lot to show you, she commanded in her sexiest voice. I can hear you just fine from here. What is it that you wish to tell me? I'm all ears. Disappointed, yet undeterred, I love you, you big lug, and I know you love me every bit as much. You and I are made for each other and belong together forever. I know I'll get to the other side before you do, but I'll wait for you patiently until you join me one day. Until then, I hope you have a long, fruitful, and enjoyable life. Yes, that means other women. We both know that will be the case. I don't want to waste a single moment without you in my arms. I want us to put this issue behind us right here and now, never to be revisited. I want you to let me love you as you've never been loved before until the day I die. That's what I want, Hank, plain and simple. I have some questions before we go any further. Of course, Hank. Go ahead. Did you have sex with Bob last weekend? She silently nodded. Did you suck him off and allow him to finish in your mouth as you swallowed his load? Bob said it would be for the best not to give you any details. He said it might inflame you too much. Oh, I see. So that piece of sheep is now in charge of our marriage. You've told me all I need to know. Good night, Glenda. I stood up, prepared to leave the room. Okay. I'll answer your questions, I promise. Please sit back down, she pleaded. She nervously regained her composure as I sat down. To answer your question, yes, I performed oral sex on him. Yes, he came in my mouth and I swallowed. You know that's what I always do with you, so I was no different with him. Alright. Thank you for the truth. Question number 2, did he duck you bareback in your kitty and finish inside your body? She uttered the weak and timid word, yes. Third question, did he duck you bareback annually and finish inside? Rather than answer, she merely nodded her head in affirmation. One more question. I need to know how many os you had with him over the weekend, in total. I don't know, Hank. I swear. I didn't count them or cut notches on a stick for Pete's sake. Think back to the weekend, Glenda. I don't need a precise count. Give me your very best estimate. How many times, in general, do you think you were with him? Give me something. She paused and turned her eyes up in her head, as if she was recounting every experience before responding. I'm not sure, somewhere between 12 and 20. That's not to say that we had sex 20 times. You know I finished multiple times. That's the best number I can give you. I see. Thank you for your candid responses. Let's see, last weekend, you confessed that another man did all those things to you. Those images will never leave my mind until the day I die. Because of what you allowed him to do with your body, the playground is ruined for me. I'll never kiss you again or let you suck me off because that would be repulsive to me. I can't duck your kitty or ass either for the same reasons. You gave away to another man what I had believed was mine. I hope you created unforgettable memories with him, Glenda, because you will go to your grave knowing that the last man you sucked and ducked wasn't your husband. Also, that piece of sheep and his slut wife are no longer friends of mine. You can visit them all you want to, but I do not want to be in their presence ever again. I can't avoid seeing that piece of sheep at work every now and then, but I can ignore his ass just as I did the other day. This is the life you have chosen for yourself, Glenda. I hope it was worth it. No. No, 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 no. This isn't how this is supposed to be. If you'll just let me love on you tonight, you'll see. You won't have to do a thing but lie there. I'll take you to heaven and back, I swear. She sobbed in broken phrases. Before you left for the weekend, I told you exactly what the consequences would be. But instead of believing me, your husband, you believed the words of that piece of sheep. You put your trust in the wrong man. You've made your bed, as the saying goes. Now you must lie in it, I stated with emphasis. Stop calling him that horrid name. He's your best friend in the whole world. He was your best friend years before you even met me. There are best friends now. You're just upset. I get that. Bob told me you might need some time to calm down. He's right about that. I figure I might calm down somewhere around, say, 6 months. Her eyes grew wide open. 6 months. But I'll be long gone before then, Hank. You can't mean that. We need to get past this now. Just give me a chance to help you get past it. I'll duck you until you're dry. I'm sorry, Glenda. I'm not in the mood to vomit up my supper. Intentional nausea is not on my agenda. Are you leaving me, Hank? Are you saying this is the end of us? She meekly squeaked in high-pitched tones. I thought long and hard about that while you were screaming out in bliss last weekend with another man between your legs. As you know, I'm not the kind of man who abandons his vows, even though you admit to doing just that. I'll keep and honor my vows until death do us part. I will not cheat on you as you cheated on me. I'll continue living here in this house with you but in separate bedrooms. I'll see that all our bills are paid, and I'll do the things around the house that I ordinarily do. I'm not going anywhere. I'll not abandon you. In sickness and in health, remember. But my vows do not mandate that I have sex with you, nor do they mandate that I kiss you ever again. All I ask is that you not invite that piece of sheep and his slut wife over here ever again. If you do, be kind enough to let me know when they'll be here to visit, so I can make plans to be somewhere else until you text me that they're gone. What have I done? I have destroyed us. No, Hank. If what you say is true, it wasn't worth it. 1,000 weekends with him or anyone else wouldn't be worth it. My only hope is that you can find it in your heart to forgive me before it's too late. I'm sorry, Hank. I'm sorry for what I've done to us. The heart doesn't always listen to what the brain says it should never do. One more thing I ask of you, Glenda. Since you will no longer be having sex with me, if you do ever get with that piece of sheep again from Ross, or anyone else for that matter, please do me the courtesy of not doing it in this house. Meet your deputies somewhere else, but don't bring any of them home with you. Can you at least do that? I'll never ask you about your love life. The hair on the back of her neck rose as she became indignant. Now you listen to me, and you listen to me good. That was a one-time thing. Do you understand me? It will never be repeated. I want the last man I'm intimate with to be you. I swear on all that's holy that I'll never be intimate with another man beside you. I heard you make that same vow before on our wedding day. You'll forgive me for having trouble taking you at your word. She began sobbing uncontrollably. I went up to my bedroom, shut and locked the door, and left her grieving our intimacy on the couch. That's it for the part 1, but it's definitely not the end of the story. If you want to know what happens after, subscribe my channel and see you tomorrow.